Ladies and gents, it's your boy Rocco Yaps. Today we're going to be yapping about some boxing news and stuff. A lot to go over. Before we get into this video, real quick, I want to mention that a lot of these, a lot of stuff, if not everything that I put in my boxing news and stuff, are things that are happening in the span of like a couple of days to a week that I put into one video, and in the video I give full detail about what is going on. Why is this a piece of boxing news, and what exactly is the boxing news? Because to me, these are stuff that are worth talking about, but they are not, in my opinion, stuff that deserve their own videos. I don't think that any of these things I should be making a whole 7, 10, 15 minute video talking about it to you guys. But if you guys do like that style video and you don't mind me making a video on something that just happens, and making a video out of it and yapping about one boxing news segment the whole video, then let me know down in the comments. But as of right now, I just feel like it's better to wait, even if it's a couple of days to a week after the events, just to give you guys the full summary of things. But if you do want, in the day of the moment when things happen, check out my shorts. I make shorts the day something drops, like anything that drops, and I'm not posting a video. I make a short about it and I upload it so you guys can stay tuned. So if you want to stay in the loop of stuff in the moment, check out my shorts. If you want to stay in tune and you don't matter about the day, you just matter about being in the flow of the news and having full details, then these videos are for you. But let's get started. First thing on the list for us is to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis being a wanted man in Miami, Florida. Now, this is a tricky thing. I'm a boxing channel. I love boxing and stuff like that. I don't want to get too much into the personal stuff, but it does have to do with a fighter who's still going to affect a division and other fighters. If he was retired, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd probably just make a short out of it and that's it. But he is actively, um, he is the WBA 135-pound champion. Although, as of news of this happening, his warrant being issued out, he is now champion in recession. So, or basically, it just means like the division is. It's pretty stupid, but it just means that the division is going to halfway continue without him, and halfway continue and not continue without him. In the sense that on paper he is still the champion. So when you Google or you do your research, like who is the WBA 135-pound champion, it will still say Gervonta Tank Davis, but his belt will be put into play for other people to either be elevated to championship status or have two guys fight for the belt. Now, the warrant was issued out in January 14th of 2026 in Miami Gardens by the Miami Gardens PD. Charges are for battery, false imprisonment, and attempted kidnapping. All of this is because of the situation that the alleged supposed beating of his ex-girlfriend that he did in a strip club back in October of 2025. Uh, and as of right now, no arrests have been made, or he hasn't turned himself in. As of yet, he hasn't. No news of Gervonta Tank Davis behind bars as of yet. But yeah, in my opinion, like the WBA is saying that they are kind of waiting for him to make a his case to, so that way it's worth keeping him as a champion. But I mean, in my opinion, this is just going. Things like this don't happen overnight. It's going to be months. You know what it is. But nonetheless, I hope you know the best goes for him. I hope he learns, and yeah, and we could move on. Now, with the actual fight, the anticlimactic fight that happened down under, in the land down under, where you know in Australia. So, for those who don't know, some of the biggest names, if not the biggest names in Australian boxing right now, are Joe Pataya and the Zhu brothers. So those are kind of like the big top dogs of, I would say, Australian boxing. Kind of guys that come close would probably be something like Liam Paro or George Kambosos Jr. But those people are the Zhu brothers and Opataya are the face of Australian boxing, I would say right now. Now, Tim Zhu and his brother Nikita Zhu share the same weight division at 154, and they are obviously two different spectrums of boxing right now. Nikita, for example, is still in that hard prospect level, barely trying to break through to contender level. While obviously Tim Tszyu is already a world champion. He's fought in ex world champions. He's fought in other contenders. He's fought in other world champions, current reigning champions. He has been a world champion himself. So there are two spectrums, different spectrums of what a boxer, the level of a boxer can be at a time. But Nikita Tszyu was going to, like I said, push through to push him towards contender level and break out of prospect level by fighting Michael Zarafa. Now, if you know anything about Australian boxing, Michael Zarafa is definitely somebody you know about. He's that guy whose whole personality and whole persona and image as a fighter is the bad guy. I'm the villain. I'm the quote unquote handsome, loudmouth, knockout artist. Like, you can't shut me up. I'm the bad guy. I'll talk shit all day. And he was originally going to fight Zoo a while back, but he got into controversy with the Zoo family because he kind of quit in a way, kind of ran away from the fight. The fight was already planned and whatnot, and then he just kind of got out. Now he was here facing Nikita Zoo, and like I said, Nikita Zoo does need this fight to kind of push himself a lot higher. Like I said, push beyond the boundary of a prospect and enter contender world. And Zarafa kind of needed this in order to bounce back and possibly even get a shot at Tim Tszyu, which would make him even more popular and more known. But this family, this is pretty much a family feud. Zarafa has talked shit about not only Tim and Nikita, but also about their father, the original Tszyu, the Australian legend. And so there's just been back and forth. Like I said, Tim Tszyu was originally gonna fight Zarafa and stuff like that. So it was really a lot of anticipated for this fight, especially for the Australians and the Australian fans. Like, this was a fight that they were really anticipating for, and I was too. This fight was took place Friday, January 16th of 2026 on Australia. Like I said, heated battle, and it was a pretty heated battle, pretty good back and forth. Both fighters were hurting each other, but it ended in a very controversial and like downright fucking stupid ass way, in my opinion. For those who didn't see the fight, basically Zarafa entering the third round, or entering the fourth round. Yeah, entering the fourth round, he came out to the ref, and he told him that he couldn't see from, I think it was his left eye, that he couldn't see from his left eye. So the ref obviously took him to go see the doctor, called the doctor up, and the first words is that Zarafa immediately tells the doctor, "I can't see. I don't know. I can't see." The judge blocks his right eye. He's checking him, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" Zarafa then goes, "I don't know. My eye's blurry. I can't see. I don't. What do you want me to do?" So he looks at the ref. The ref goes, "You know what that means, right?" He explains to him that since if they stop the fight before the fourth round ends, then that means it's a no contest. If it would have been past the fourth round, then they would have gone to the scorecards. But since it's under four, it would have been no contest. So, with that being said, he still said the same thing. I can't see. But then the weird thing was, obviously everybody's booing, everybody's mad. Zarafa was leaving, but then they brought Zarafa back, and I'm guessing they brought Zarafa back to kind of help calm the situation because the Australian fans were really pissed. They were throwing stuff and people were booing and like chanting and stuff. So I'm guessing they brought Zarafa to give him the microphone in the middle of the ring to kind of explain himself. That way people could be like, ah, okay, whatever. He's hurt. I won't be as mad. But but when he got the chance to talk and kind of mention like, hey, I can't see from my left eye. I'm not gonna continue. This fight's gonna be tough, and I can't fight one eyed. I'm not doing it. And I'm sorry, my safety first, but I'll run it back as soon as possible. No, he proceeds to get on the microphone and tell the audience and the interviewer, I don't know, I don't know what happened. I don't know what they're going on about. I told the ref, I told the doctor that my vision is blurry, but my eyesight's good now, and I told him I could continue. He's like, I don't know what they wanted from me. And what's funny is that he's recorded. They had a fucking camera in the corner while he's talking to the ref and the doc, and you can hear him and you could lip read and you could do both. You could lip read and fucking hear him clearly say multiple fucking times, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see. They explain to him what's gonna happen if they stop the fight right now. He's like, I can't see. Not once that he was like, it's okay, it's blurry, but I could continue. Don't it's alright. So it was just this image of like, just be a man. In my opinion, is like be a man, sit there. Like I said, people are still gonna be mad, but they won't be as mad, and it's a lot more understandable to be like, okay, I'm pissed that I paid to watch the fight and it was going good, but then it stopped early because this fool can't see. But I understand, that's his money. His body is his health. And even after done boxing, it would suck to have one left eye that you can't see from anymore because you decide not to quit. I get it. But that would have been respectable. But you went out and you were like, no, 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 I'm this badass dude. I was okay. I was going to continue. It's like, you got to choose one. You're either going to be the badass dude and go out there and be like, I can't fucking see. Fuck you guys. You this and that. Or go out and just be like, hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm really ashamed that I have to do this, but my health is my health. And as soon as I get better, I'll do my best for my team to get with his team, and we could continue to make the rematch, and hopefully nothing happens in the rematch. But Zarafa is a controversial figure, especially in Australian boxing. So this is one of the many things that he's done to make him more popular than he would have been with just off of boxing. You know, but hopefully maybe this fight could then happen. I was having Nikita Zoo starting to turn up the heat against Zarafa, and Nikita does need and could use this. Now, going to the other boy down under, Opataya, no longer with Matchroom Boxing. Not only that, but he signs with a promotional deal with Zuffa Boxing. For those who don't know who Zuffa Boxing is the new boxing league created by Dana White. Dana White basically wants to create a boxing version of the UFC. UFC isn't a sport. UFC is an organization. MMA is a sport. He just made a league to the point where it's the most popular, that if you want to be the best, you got to go to the UFC. Boxing isn't like that. Boxing is open. We have promotional companies that help boxers climb the ranks faster and get better opportunities with other fighters, so they could build their profile to build their way up to world championship status. But he wants to make his own league with his own belt, his own world championship belt, and everything. Now, Joe Patai, on the other hand, if you don't know him, I have it right here. Joe Patai is currently stating at 29 victories, 23 by knockout, 0 losses, 0 defeat. He's also currently ranked number one cruiserweight in the world, also current IBF and Ring Magazine world champion. Um, he was signed with Matchroom, and after many attempts of trying to make the Zurdo fight, trying to make any unification fight, because he wants to go up to heavyweight, but he does want to clear out the division before he moves up, which in my opinion is a smart move and a very doable move. I do have him over Zurdo. I do have him over uh, I think his name is Bohem Jack or something like that, the WBC champion. I do have him over those two guys. I believe that Opataya currently is the best. I don't even think that if Benavides moves up, he can beat Opataya. I think Opataya beats him. But I do understand that it's frustrating that he's just kind of waiting around fighting these kind of whatever fights against nobodies, and some of them aren't even on TV or anywhere or promoted anywhere. He's just kind of stinking around at a cruiserweight. I understand, but I just don't think Zuffa is the right move. As of January 17, 2026, he signed with his new promoter Dana White via Zuffa Boxing Promotions. He did upload a video also saying that, like, announcing the signing. He said that big fights in the future, and also mentioned unification and undisputed is his reasoning for signing, which, in my opinion, it's like, I don't know how much Dana White and Zuffa Boxing can really do for him that Matchroom couldn't do. If Matchroom was already struggling and having a hard time trying to get unification fights and trying to help him become undisputed at cruiserweight before going up to heavyweight, I don't know what Zuffa can do. Now, Zuffa can come out here out of left blue, maybe the hatred between Dana White and Oscar de la Hoya, because Oscar de la Hoya is the promotional, well, with Golden Boy is the promotional company behind Zurdo Ramirez, who is currently the WBA and WBO Cruiserweight World Champion, and is ranked number two, in my opinion, is the second best cruiserweight right now. I don't know if the hatred between Oscar de la Hoya and Dana White can make it happen. I don't know, but I just don't think Zuffa Boxing is capable of helping this man's journey to being unified and then undisputed at cruiserweight if Matchroom was already having a hard time. But that's just my opinion, and only time could tell. Now, another news about fighters and stuff. Canelo Alvarez is set to return in September, more specifically September 12th of 2026. The Ring magazine with Turkey Alashi, these other two gentlemen I don't fucking know about, alongside Saul Canelo Alvarez, uploaded a video where Canelo's not going to fight him maybe because he's recovering from a surgery. I think it was his elbow or his wrist. I'm pretty sure it was his elbow, where he had a surgery taking place, and he's kind of recovering and taking time off, enjoying his money and stuff. But for those who don't know, when he signed that fight, Crawford, he signed a 4-fight deal with Riyadh and with Turkey Alashi. Number one fight in that contract was against William Skull in order to reclaim the IBF title and become undisputed again. And then the second one was to fight and defend his undisputed title against Crawford, which he lost back in September. So now he still has two obligational fights to fight for Riyadh season. But also Crawford retired, so the belts are scattered. In the video that they uploaded, the image that I have right here for you guys, Turkey Al-Rashid said that they're gonna have a fight card called Mexico versus the World, where same thing like Night of the Samurai, one fighter per fight will be a Mexican fighter. Whether the other opponent will be a Mexican, a Japanese, or whatever, but at least one fighter per fight leading up all the way to the main event, which is Canelo, will be a Mexican fighter. So it's called Mexico versus the World, and I'm guessing since it's called Mexico versus the World, there's not going to be another there's not going to be two Mexicans fighting each other. So my guess is that there that eliminates the possibility of probably like Resendiz being the guy who fights Canelo, because as of right now, in the video that they uploaded, they didn't say who's the opponent. They just kind of made it seem like they already have an opponent in mind, or they already have it lined up. But they also said it's for a world title belt. So one of the vacant belts is gonna have him fight a non-Mexican dude. So David Pacheco, Jaime Munguia, and Resendiz are some of the top guys in those divisions. So I don't think they will be in there. Resendiz is WBA world champion, but I don't think they'll have a Mexican versus Mexican since it's Mexico versus the world. The only other guy I could possibly believe this could be, like the person and the belt, is Canelo facing off against Hamza Shiraz, who isn't, obviously Mexican. He's from the UK, but I think he's a Turkish or Pakistani. I think he's Pakistani descendant, but born in the UK. and will be fighting for the WBC belt because twice now Hamza Shiraz's name has been tied to a supposed fight for the vacant WBC belt. The first name he was tied to in order to fight for it, uh, I believe was Mbili. So the WBC had ordered Mbili and Shiraz to fight for the vacant WBC belt. Nothing happened. And then the new news popped up, and I even made a video about it, where Hamza Shiraz was supposedly ordered to fight for the WBC vacant world title against Diego Pacheco. And so far, we haven't heard anything further developing that news. So I do believe that the belt will be for the WBC, which Canelo does has more ties to, as well as Hamza Shiraz is Turkey Al Sheikh's guy, and it's more than obvious that they were trying to build up Canelo versus Shiraz, but obviously things kind of went sour when Canelo was defeated by Crawford in September. But yeah, I do believe that's the fighter and that's the belt. Now it also says that it's Canelo's promotion's first event, so Canelo Promotions will be heavily involved with Riyadh season to create this event, and it will be taking place in Saudi Arabia. So, any news about that, I'll let you guys know. Now, the biggest possible news right now is the Virgil Ortiz taking legal action against Golden Boy. Now, the Re Magazine tweeted out a lawsuit has been filed on behalf of Virgil Ortiz to terminate his promotional contract with Golden Boy. Ortiz's attorney cited declaring relief breach of contract interference with uh, economic advantage and the end of Golden Boy's exclusive content partnership with the Zone as grounds for ending the agreement. This was taking place on January 16th when the lawsuit went public. It stated in the documents that the lawsuit is for Virgil, obviously, to get out of his Golden Boy contract early. It's also stated that its grounds of the lawsuits are based off interfering with negotiations with Boots Fight. So, the thing is, according to Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, when they sat down to agree upon a contract for the fight, that they agreed upon 50-50, 5% to the winner. So that means they both get half the revenue, but if Virgil wins, Virgil gets 5% more, Boots gets 5% less. The same thing for if Boots wins. If Boots wins, he leaves with 55% of the earnings. Virgil leaves with 45% of the earnings. So it was kind of like a way to not only somebody to get more money for their fighter, but also kind of to entice the fighters to want to win more. And, with an even split of 50-50. But then Oscar de la Hoya, Golden Boy's main promoter, was like, no, I'm not doing that. And apparently that contract, that 50-50, 5% winner contract, was a done deal. Like, they left the room happy. They were like, okay, this is what our parties want. To the point where even Boots Ennis supposedly signed it. So he signed it, Eddie Hearn signed it. So it was like, now it's just Virgil to sign it, and he wasn't signing it. But we found out, we thought it was, a lot. I didn't think, but a lot of people thought it was because Virgil was kind of ducking. But we found out that it was Oscar that was kind of fucking with the shit. He released a video saying that he's not doing that. That Eddie Hearn sounds desperate because he's begging for this fight, and that Virgil doesn't need to agree to a 50-50 fight. That it's either 60-40 for him or nothing, because Virgil has other fights other big fights that he's got options. He's got other fucking bitches to look at. He doesn't need fucking Boots. Boots needs him, but Virgil don't need Boots, is what he was implying. And he even named out two fighters. He said we could sell out Cowboy Stadium with the fight between Virgil and Errol Spence Jr., which I think is a big fight, but I just don't think right now it would be because Virgil hasn't. Virgil's been active fighting good fighters, and then on the other hand, you have Spence, who hasn't fought since his crushing defeat to to Crawford, and that was like what 3 fucking years ago, I think 2.5 years ago. So it's just like, and then he would have to not only come back after all that time, but then he's coming back to a new weight class that he's never fought in. It's just, I don't know. It is a good fight, but at least I would love to see if Spence could even come back. And I don't think a good fight between Virgil and Spence fighting for the first time after 2.5 years in a new weight category is that good fight. But then he also Oscar De La Hoya also named AEW a fight for the WBC World Championship belt against Sebastian Fundora, as Virgil Ortiz is currently the interim WBC champ. So those were his two options that he said that he could kind of go with right now. But in my opinion, it's just obviously Oscar wants more money. This is a big fight. This is a mega fight. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't feel confident that Virgil can beat Boots. Maybe he doesn't feel confident. And he wants to cash out a little bit of Virgil's name before Virgil's name and his profile goes down a little if he does lose this fight. And it's just kind of making it look bad. And Virgil also apparently got the same attorney that Canelo had when Canelo did the same thing of wanting to leave his contract early and filed and sued and won. So, my opinion, yeah, I think Virgil should go to Matchroom. Top Rank is obviously not one that I would want him to go right now. They're having a little bit of problems. I don't really see him in Queensberry. PBC, maybe he could have some good fights in PBC. Maybe some Charlo fights, some Spence fights would be easier to make. Um, or Matchroom, like I said, if he goes with Matchroom, he can have that Boots fight a lot easier. But I think it's a good thing that Virgil leaves Golden Boy if Oscar is going to be acting the way he is. Now, with that, obviously, Oscar did reply very quickly, pretty much almost the exact same day, pretty much. But he replied this the day after with the video, and in the video he stated, "We are aware of the lawsuit. Unfortunately, Virgil is getting bad advice from his lawyer and manager who have repeatedly violated the contract. We will aggressively defend this lawsuit and enforce our rights. We are confident a judge will agree that our contract is valid and Virgil and his team are in breach." De La Hoya has stated that he doesn't blame Virgil or his father, calling them good people. He's stating that it's Virgil's manager, Rick Merrigan, or Mergen, I don't know how to say his name, is to blame here, and that he's the reason of the lawsuit that's even happening. Oya also said that he will push back legally and that Virgil ain't going nowhere till the contract's over, which I think the contract ends in late 2027, so Virgil will still kind of have around 2 more years because I think it was 2024, around mid to late 2024, where he signed a 3-year contract extension with Golden Boy. So yeah, it would be around late 2027. So if Virgil loses the lawsuit, he just has to wait till then. But Oscar also says that he's only looking out for Virgil and that's all he wanted to do, and he would do what Virgil wants him to do. So, it's a lot of talking. He talking, her talking, this and that. Virgil is a very quiet dude, so obviously nothing out of Virgil himself, whether it's a tweet, an Instagram post, an Instagram story, a YouTube video, an interview, nothing. There hasn't been anything straight from the mouth of the fighter himself, Virgil Ortiz. But of course, as this plays out, I'll let you guys know. Now, the last thing on our agenda is something just to cool off, and it's just the training footage of Joshua. As you guys may or may not have known, late December, he got into a tragic car accident where two of his best friends died, and he got kind of injured. We didn't know how severe or what was it, but it's clear to see that it's nothing major to the point where, he's going to be taking some time off. And he's just back training, he's just hitting some mitts. He's just in a facility, kind of in a private setting. He's not with Team Usyk. Sorry about that. Seems to be staying in shape. You know, it just seems like he's physically capable of at least staying in shape, so that when the phone rings and they're like, okay, we got Makhmadaliev or we got Fisher or Allen or we got this fucking guy as a comeback fight. Other than that stupid Jake Paul shit, we got an actual real contender fight for you to come back to. Um, he'll be ready. He could enter into his what you call it, his his training camp without having to play catch up. He could just go into his training camp and full throttle into focusing on beating whoever his opponent is for him. That being said, ladies and gents, like I said, if you want these videos, if you don't mind me just posting a full video of these topics separately or like one to two topics per video, let me know just in case, because like you guys could be like, oh well, I'm hearing these news a week later. I understand. I just personally, like I said, I don't think, like, for example, like I don't think maybe the De La Hoya and Virgil, maybe that deserves a video on its own. I just don't think so. But if you guys prefer videos like that, let me know in the comments down below. I'll do it. But if, like I said, if you guys do want to find out about news when it drops on the spot the day of, make sure to check out and stay tuned and stay ready for my YouTube shorts. Any news boxing wise, and even some of the news that were in this video, I covered it the day of finding out. Like the day everybody found out, I uploaded a YouTube short about it. So stay ready for those. Stay tuned for those. Keep an eye on them if you want to stay in the moment that the news drops. But if you prefer this style of video, just let me know. That being said, I've yapped long enough. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Thank you for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed or you're new, please hit the subscribe button. It will help a lot. And make sure to check out my other videos. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless.